So I wanted to talk about this for a while, and today's the day. Sleep quality, sleep quantity. It's a topic that not many people seem to be talking about, but it's probably one of the most important things you can do to improve your recovery right now. You can literally start today. And a lot of people think sleep quantity is the most important thing. You gotta sleep a lot to make sure that you're recovered, but quantity is not as important as quality. I mean, okay, that's a really short way to answer this. Sorry, I'm getting really distracted because this mom is just getting really angry at her kid. And I find that really weird, actually, yelling at your kid on the street or, telling them off. Should really be doing that at home. I don't think anything should be done on the street. But anyway, sorry, I'm totally distracted. Classic ADHD. So sleep quality is arguably more important than quantity to a certain extent. Now, obviously, if you're only sleeping 6 hours, yeah, the first thing you should be doing is still trying to improve your quantity because that will improve your quality. But a lot of people are actually getting maybe seven and a bit hours, but they still feel tired. They still feel sloggy. Is that the word, sloggy? Groggy. They feel like a slog, right? Like it's a slog to get out of bed. If you are waking up constantly feeling tired, yeah, that's not good sleep quality. You don't even need a tracker to tell you that. And to be honest, based on my anecdotal experience, my sleep score is a pretty high reflection, or there's a pretty accurate correlation between how high my sleep score is and how good I feel upon waking. So over the last couple of weeks, my sleep score has been 90 plus. I've even had some perfect days. And on those perfect days, I feel like I can tackle the whole world. I can do whatever I want. And I have the capability to. Today is the first day I've gotten a sub 90 score. So I got 84, and there was an obvious reason behind it. I was watching TV on something called Teleparty, so you can actually watch it with a friend or whoever you want to watch it with online. So we can sync the video together, and you can do that on Netflix. If you already have a Netflix account, you can already do that. So you just need to check out Teleparty. So I was watching that with the missus. We were watching Rafa, which is Rafa Nadal's Netflix documentary. Really good, actually, so really enjoyed that. But we ended up finishing at 10:30, chatted for an hour, and then because it was quite stimulating, the discussion, I just wasn't able to fall asleep right away. And usually I will fall asleep within 15 minutes. So I ended up falling asleep at, I think, 12:15 or 12:30, which is an hour and a half later than my usual bedtime. On top of that, because my brain was so stimulated, I ended up having more interruptions during my sleep, and it was actually shown on the on the health app of the Apple Health app, and it's pretty accurate. So I remember waking up today feeling pretty awful. And what's crazy is it's still a high sleep score. 84 is still considered high. I think a lot of people are chronically under 80. I know my best friend tells me most of his sleep scores are around sub 80. And yeah, he doesn't feel very good most mornings. He sleeps only 6 hours and whatnot. So the best thing you can do is improve that. Now, if you're someone who's already sleeping 7 and a bit hours, but still feeling tired, whatnot, it could be a quantity issue, but more often than not, it's quality. And this is where it's really important to determine how we can improve that. Now, if you're of the mindset or have the mindset where it's not going to improve anymore, that's just how it is, which I notice a lot of people actually say. They go, yeah, well, but I already do this, I'm that. That's already the wrong mentality, in my opinion. You need to treat sleep like studying, like anything you do in life. In order to improve it, you've got to change the habits. You've got to be disciplined. And it's not easy. I'm not 100% there. There's still quite a few things I would like to improve. Namely, the main one is getting off electronics 30 to 60 minutes. They say 60 minutes before bed, but let's start with 30 first. It's not easy. And the closest thing I've been able to do is to slam on blue light glasses and filters So, sorry, blue light filter, which most blue light glasses will have, blue light blockers. Studies have shown that it doesn't really help. I find that it does a little bit, you know. Obviously, the best thing to do is just be abstinent, so stop using electronics. I don't actually use my iPhone before bed. I use my Android phone, which has a better blue light filter as well in the app. An app that you can download, and that will filter out blue light, so it's much dimmer. And it is significantly dimmer than the iPhone one. And unfortunately for iPhones, you can't download apps for to throw on a blue light filter. You have to use the native app that iPhone has. So that's how I combat blue light. But the best thing you can do, again, like I said, is just to get off it completely. So sometimes what I try and do is throw on a podcast, find a nice podcast, and then just put it on the side, and then wait and listen until I fall asleep. But yes, that's the main habit that I struggle with. And let's be honest, I think most of y'all do. I see hear a lot of people doom scroll before bed. That's probably one of the worst things you can do, because you're just overstimulating yourself with dopamine, and then something you'll see triggers you, and then you get really frustrated and angry, and then bang, you know, that's already gonna make you struggle with falling asleep. So just go ahead and stop. Sleep quality. Sorry, I'm just distracted. These kids are just a bit annoying. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Make sure that you try and get off social media as much as possible. Generally speaking, that's not going to be helpful for anxiety, depression, etc., etc. Sorry, I'm not sounding very coherent now because I got totally distracted. Kids these days, just anytime they see someone on a camera go, YouTube, blah. It's like, come on, man, like, just leave me alone. I just want to film in peace. Okay, so I digress. Back to what we were talking about. That's probably one of the main things you need to eliminate. And now, before I get into the other sleep hygiene practices that you can, commit to, I'm going to segue a little bit, and this is not related to sleep hygiene. If you're someone who already struggles with anxiety, depression, some sort of mental health issue, sleep hygiene practices probably won't help you. What you will have to deal with is the root cause and underlying issue before you can fall asleep well. So if you're someone who, namely anxiety, you're always worrying, you're always constantly worried about what am I going to do? Have I done this for tomorrow? Have I prepped enough for the presentation next week? Or what's my future gonna look like in a year? I would highly recommend speaking to a mental health professional and dealing with these issues. If you've got issues at home, family, these things all cause stress, and that's going to make it a lot harder for you to sleep. And it is a vicious cycle, unfortunately. The more you stress, the more you're anxious, the less you can sleep. And then you feel really tired in the mornings, afternoons. And there's plenty of studies to show that when you don't sleep enough and your sleep quality is poor, you're more likely to be even more anxious, and it just becomes a circle. And then on top of that, you start to add and throw in caffeine in the mix, which a lot of people do. They get addicted to caffeine because what caffeine does is it blocks your adenosine receptors. So without delving too deep into the physiology behind things, and I'm a bit concerned that I'm not explaining this very well, caffeine gives you adenosine, and then it attaches to the receptors, so that stops you from feeling really tired. But it doesn't clear away, it just stops. I'm probably not explaining this very well, but long story short, when you drink caffeine, you get a buildup of adenosine in your brain, and then eventually they all get released once the caffeine wears off, and that's when you feel really, really tired. And what happens? Well, you're going to throw in more caffeine. So people end up drinking 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day, and they'll drink it maybe even at 5 or 6 p.m. and say, well, I still manage to fall asleep. I have no problem with falling asleep when I'm on caffeine. It's like, yes, but it's the same argument with alcohol as well. A lot of people actually end up falling asleep better after drinking alcohol or even smoking marijuana, weed. But it truly affects your sleep quality. If you're someone who tracks it, you'll notice that your score is going to be a lot worse because you're not going to get as much deep core and deep sleep, which is the restorative sleep that you need. So that's a big problem. Address it. And I know it's not easy, but you need to speak to someone. And a lot of people, especially in Asia, men particularly, don't or aren't willing to talk about mental health. And that's a big issue. On top of that, if you're someone who's chronically sleep deprived and don't have good quality sleep, you're more likely to be at risk of dementia, significantly more too. So get those underlying issues addressed. Now, if let's say you don't struggle with falling asleep, you don't have anxiety, you don't have stress, or it's very mild, okay, then we can start talking about sleep hygiene practices. What are things we can do there? So I've already spoken about getting off electronics as much as possible, or throwing in blue light filters if you really struggle with getting off electronics. You don't want to be doing things that are overstimulating before bed. So actually they say even reading fiction, non-fiction books can be problematic for your sleep as well, because you're going to start to think, and that's not what you actually want before bed. A fiction book is going to be a lot better. So you can opt for doing something like that. Next thing, caffeine. I talked about this already, but long story short, what you're going to want to do is drink your coffee at the latest before 2 p.m. Why? It's because coffee has a half-life of 6 hours. So if, let's say you drink coffee at 12 p.m., you still have half the amount of caffeine in your system 6 hours later. So at 6 p.m., you're going to have half the amount of caffeine. I tend to drink my coffee before 11 a.m. I'm very sensitive to caffeine, and I only have one a day, okay? So that's the second, caffeine. Shutters. So ideally, you have shutters that block out all forms of light, but I don't, my shutters or my curtains don't actually block out all light. So I throw on a sleep mask, and the sleep mask blocks everything out. Some people might find it very uncomfortable, so I would highly recommend something that's silk-based. That is, from my experience, the most comfortable. What else is there? Oh, room temperature. So you want to make sure your room temperature is roughly 16 to 19 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but your room temperature should be that. It's very important that your core temperature drops. I think it's by about 1 degree. I could be wrong, can't remember, but about 1 degree when you're sleeping. And that's what's going to help promote more deep restorative sleep. Anything else that I would say? Oh, don't eat 3 hours before bed. When you eat too close to bedtime, that's also going to affect your sleep quality because it raises your core temperature due to thermoregulation. So eating produces more body heat. It also means that your body's going to digest, absorb food, and that's what it's prioritizing at the moment, and therefore you're going to struggle a little bit with falling asleep and sleeping better. Is there anything else that I might have left out? I think those are the main ones, and if you tackle these things well, your sleep quality should improve drastically. And honestly, I wish there was a game of some sort where people can compete to see who gets a better sleep score, because I think that'll be very beneficial to a lot of people. But I definitely am competitive with myself, so today I got an 84 score rather than 100, and that's made me want to improve for the next cycle of sleep. So, sorry, not next cycle, just my next next night of sleeping. So I need to make sure that I get to bed on time tonight. But yeah, those are the things that we need to think about. We need to treat it like studying. We need to treat it like any sport. Sleep should be a sport itself, you know? That's the best thing you can do for recovery. Not any sort of supplement, not anything supplements or whatnot. A lot of people try and tell you, hey, you need this, that. You don't. Just get better sleep. And I know it's not easy. A lot of people go, yeah, well, you can do it. Like, no, everyone can. It's free. And I know it's not easy, but y'all need to do this, okay? If you want to improve your recovery, so then you can train harder. Anyway, that's the video for today. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.